I'd like to welcome everyone to the regular scheduled meeting of the President Board of Trustees of Village of Tinley Park, Cook and Will County, held on Tuesday, March 18, 2025, beginning at 6:11 p.m. Everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Brady?
Here.
Trustee Brennan?
Present.
Trustee Mahoney? Absent. Trustee Mueller?
Here.
Trustee Shaw?
Present.
Trustee Sullivan?
Here.
President Glass?
Present. Item number 1. Is there a motion to consider approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Roll call for item 1. Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number 2. Is there a motion to consider approval of the minutes of the regular village board meeting held on March 4th, 2025?
I will make the motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 2. Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number 3, receive presentation of the Tinley Park Business Spotlight, Park Ace Hardware, and ServPro of Tinley Park, Midlothian. The first one we'd like to start with, by President Glotz and Clerk O'Connor. First one we'd like to start with would be Park Ace Hardware, which is located at 16725 Oak Park Avenue, and is a family-owned business that has been a part of Tinley Park community since 1978. They carry a wide range of home improvement hardware, paint, garden supplies, and more. The village is pleased to welcome Bill Steinhauser of Park Ace Hardware.
Thank you, number one, for having me. I really appreciate Jim over here had to twist my arm to get me here tonight. But I really do appreciate it. Like you said, we've been in Tinley since 1978. My parents started our store down the road from where it is right now. We moved to where we are at 167th at Oak Park in 1985, and now myself and my wife, Deanna, now run the stores. Tinley is the Tinley store for us is a huge, huge part of our company, and has afforded us to do a lot of things in the store and our lives and stuff like that. But really, we do love being part of the Tinley community. The organizations that we can help because we have the store, the people that we get to help on a daily basis, we really love that, and that's really the biggest payback for us. And again, being partners with the village, we are extremely grateful for everything that you guys work with and do for us. In a nutshell, that's really all I have. We're about the community, we're about our customers, and we really try to do whatever we can for them because that's the reason we're here in the first place. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yep.
Thank you.
So I'd just like to say that Bill helped us out tremendously. He donated over 250 smoke detectors. A lot of those detectors have, or some of those detectors have been able to go into residents of Tinley already, keeping them safe. So there's nothing more that we need to say about Bill. He's keeping our residents safe by donating all those smoke detectors, and I can't thank you enough.
It's our pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Bill, for your support of our community. Steve, you want to add anything?
No, you said it all.
John thought you wanted to speak, but that's okay.
You know.
I'll add that they have the friendliest staff there. I don't Every time I've gone there, as soon as you walk in, you don't even have to like wander. They'll help you go exactly, because I'm not much of a shopper, so it's very helpful your staff is very helpful.
Oh, thank you, I'm
Very,
sorry.
very nice. No, that's okay, that's all right. No, you do, they're very, very nice.
One thing I could just ask is everybody on the board has their Ace Rewards card, that'd be great.
I got mine.
I got mine.
If you don't, we'll sign you up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
I'll-
you.
I'll just echo what Colleen's
I don't
comments.
In a hardware store.
I don't like shopping at all, ever. I hate shopping.
I'll just echo what Colleen's comments have been. I've been going there for years. The service you receive there is just, Ace is the place for the
The hardware.
helpful hardware. But for real, it's your staff is phenomenal. You guys have very friendly staff, and the service you did, for a fool like myself, with power tools, they're just the friendliest and very helpful. So whenever you're looking for the odds and ends, it's great. So appreciate it.
Appreciate you, thank you.
Thank you. And kind of echo what Bill said, that's why people should stop going to the big box stores like the Lowe's and the Home Depots, because everything that they don't have, Ace has. You could find everything that you can't find in other stores, and that's where we replace our sump pump every 2 years. I have one sitting on the shelf, just in case they stop making them. They literally have the best sump pumps that you could buy. And again, they have all the little specialty items that you can't find anywhere else. So, and as soon as you walk in the door, they're on the radio. They get you as soon as you come in the door, and they walk you to whatever aisle is, because you walk in, you don't know where to go. Just like every other store, stuff gets moved around for logistics and whatever it is, but it doesn't matter if you don't know what aisle it's in, because they tell you immediately where it is. So,
Immediately. And they have
Well,
beautiful flowers, so spring
Yep.
is coming.
Yeah.
and like some other places, everyone's cross-trained there. It doesn't matter whether it's a key, you need to go to paint, you need to find that special screw. Everyone knows where everything is, so thank you.
And we should certainly support our local businesses,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
And I do shop, I just don't like it.
Next, we have Clerk O'Connor.
Surf Pro of Tinley Park, Midlothian, located at 7460 Duvon Drive, provides 24-hour emergency service and is dedicated to being faster to any size disaster. Their highly trained technicians can respond immediately to your residential or commercial emergency. Please join me in welcoming David Conwell of Surf Pro Tinley Park, Midlothian.
Thank you. There's David Conwell's there. My name is Jason Smith. But thank you for that. And we hope to get the same love that Ace Hardware just received. But we have to earn that, and we will. But no, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, trustees, distinguished guest. My name is Jason Smith. This is David Conwell. He's a business development specialist here in the Tinley area. I am the human resource manager for the franchises that we have. If you're not sure what ServPro, I know we had a brief description. ServPro's been around for like 57 years total, going on 58. And basically, we are local. We're locally owned. It's franchised out, and basically, we're the nation's leader in fire, water, mold restoration. We partner with the fire departments for many decades, and that's what we do. Like, our owners' names are Bobby and Kata Nichols, and they have over 17 years of experience of ownership. In ServPros, we have 6 franchises. Tinley Park is our newest one. And we are located where the old Tinley Admissions, if you know where that was at, on Duvon Drive. That's our location that we have here locally. Like I said, we're here. What's great about working for ServPro is that servicing the community is done on a daily basis for what we do, whether it's residential properties, commercial. What's great about us is every single building that's in the beautiful city of Tinley Park, we can help, when it comes to those particular emergencies that happen. That's why and I'm a local Tinley resident. If you go that way about a mile and a half, that's where I live. But with helping the community, we're partnering up with Project Fire Buddies. I know the fire departments, I believe, are doing that as well. We are doing that it's an honor to do that, because, like I said, it's the reward we get when it comes to working for ServPro is seeing, if it's a fire or if it's a flood or there's mold issues or anything, and we're showing up And to see the change that happens with a couple week, or a couple days actually, or even the same day, and seeing that reward and having that customer, whether it's somebody's residential property or it's a building like this, and they're saying, wow, this looks great, for what what you guys done in just a matter of 8 hours, So that's, remember the Tinley Chamber of Commerce, like we're honored to be a part of that. Like I said, growing up in Tinley here, it's great that I work for a company that's supporting the community that I grew up in, which is great. And lastly, you might have saw it's in the Irish parade. I don't know if you saw the Grinch, not to ruin any kayfabe or anything like that. I was the Grinch, so but it was great to see that the faces and everything. I've been going to that parade for years, so to be a part of that was pretty cool. So that's all I have. Like I said, give us a call. Like I said, it's not just emergencies. We do non-emergency stuff as well. We clean, we can clean these carpets in this beautiful building. We do that as well. But yeah, thank you for the time, for David and myself, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have item 4, trustee Bill Brennan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to consider adopting Resolution 2025-R-036, designating April 13th through April 19th as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in the Village of Tinley Park.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, trustee Mueller. The 911 dispatcher is often the unsung professional of the emergency response team. These professionals who gather essential information from callers and dispatch the appropriate first responders to the scene must be able to take control of situations that may be chaotic, heart-wrenching, stressful, confusing, and frenzied. Dispatchers provide dispatch and communication support to police, fire, and EMS and public works. They are responsible for not only answering phones, but they monitor several radio vans, track police and fire units, dispatch units to calls, and provide emergency medical instruction such as CPR over the phone. The Tinley Park 911 Center is also the primary dispatch center for MABUS 24, where they typically handle 120 additional extra alarm fire calls for 23 neighboring fire departments. The men and women of the Tinley Park 911 Center are dedicated professionals that deserve recognition not only this week, but all year long, and this resolution is eligible for adoption. So I will go ahead and read the resolution. Recognizing April 13th through April 19th, 2025 as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in the Village of Tinley Park. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services. Whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of the information obtained from citizens who telephone the Village of Tinley Park Emergency Communications Center. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with our emergency services. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information and ensuring their safety. And whereas the public safety telecommunicators of the Village of Tinley Park have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. And whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the President, Clerk, and the Board of Trustees of the Village of Tinley Park, Cook and Will Counties, Illinois, declare the week of April 13th through April 19th, 2025, to be National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in the Village of Tinley Park in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our city and citizens safe. Adopted this 18th day of March 2025. Signed by Village President Michael Glotz, Nancy O'Connor, our village clerk, trustees William Brady, William Brennan, trustees Dennis Mahoney, Michael Mueller, Kenneth Shaw, and Colleen Sullivan. Lisa?
Thank you. Anything you want to add, Lisa?
No, thank you, everybody, for your support, and I just love my job.
Good,
We love you.
thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 4, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries.
Yeah.
Should I heard Hastings Summons would have
If you want.
I don't think you should.
That was an exciting time there.
wore shoes today, so.
I almost went to shoot today.
Donna yells at me when I wear sandals, so.
Sorry, just wearing shoes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have item number 5. Is there a motion to consider appointing Wendy Racky to the position of 911 dispatcher?
So moved.
I will second.
Thank you. Wendy has 8 years of relatable experience managing daily operations and workflow processes, has effectively addressed and resolved operational challenges, and maintains a focus on productivity and team cohesion. She is familiar with working in a fast-paced, high-volume environment. Consider appointing Wendy to the position of 911 dispatcher effective April 7th, 2025. Are there any questions for Angela? Nope. Is there a motion, or I'm sorry, call the roll.
Roll call for item 5, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carried. Thank you. Next, we have item number 6. Is there a motion to consider appointing Kurt Ginder to the position of maintenance technician?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Kurt has 8 years of maintenance experience, including 4 years in public works operations. He is experienced with heavy equipment, snow removal, streets maintenance operations, and water sewer repairs. Kurt has a Class A CDL and holds a Bachelor of Arts degree. Please consider appointing Kurt to the position of maintenance technician effective March 31st, 2025. Are there any questions or comments from the board to Angela? Nope, you're safe. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Roll call for item 6, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number 7. May I have a motion to consider approval of the following consent agenda items?
So moved.
I will second.
Thank you. The consent agenda items have been publicly posted and available for review according to the Illinois Open Meetings Act. Would anyone from the board like any of these items removed from the consent agenda tonight? Let the record reflect there are none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 7, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have item 8. I'd like to ask the board for a motion to consider adopting ordinance 2025-R-005, amending Title 11, Chapter 112, Section 22, permitted number of liquor licenses, only a Class E to Samosa King at 7301 183rd Street, Suite D.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thanks, Colleen. Samosa King has approached the mayor's office seeking a Class E license for a Samosa King at 7301 183rd Street, Suite D. This item was discussed at the Committee of the Whole held prior to this meeting. This ordinance is eligible for adoption. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Just like to thank Allison for all her work on putting this together. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Roll call for item 8, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Item number 9, trustee Bill Brennan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to consider adopting Resolution 2025-R-027, approving the official 2025 Tinley Park zoning map.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, trustee Shaw. Municipalities must adopt an official zoning map each year. The proposed zoning map reflects the changes and corrections completed during the previous calendar year. No properties are rezoned or changed as part of the map's adoption. The Plan Commission reviewed the draft official zoning map on March 6, 2025, and voted 7-0 to recommend approval. This resolution is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan. Are there any questions from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 9, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Item number 10, trustee Michael Mueller.
I'd like to make a motion to consider, to direct the Plan Commission to review and consider limiting the hours of operation any drive-through establishments on Lot 7 in the Brookside Creek Retail Center.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mike.
There's not a lot of backup here, but as we discussed at the Committee of the Whole just prior to this, we'd like you to go to the Plan Commission and recommend that any special use within the PUD for the Brookside Creek Retail Center be attached with a 5 a.m. to 2 a.m. Restriction on the drive-through hours,
If one even goes there.
if one goes.
Thanks, Mike. Are there any questions from the board or comments on that? Nope. Nope. Madam Clerk?
Roll call for item 10, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, trustee Mueller. Item 11, trustee Bill Brady.
I'd like to have the board consider resolution 2025-R-038, authorizing the execution and applicability of the employee leasing agreement with MGT Impact Solutions LLC for data analysis professional services for a 10-month period.
So moved.
Go ahead, Bill.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Billy.
This item was discussed at the Committee of the
Is that
Whole
the
held
phrase?
prior to this meeting. This resolution is eligible for adoption.
Are there any questions from the board? Comments?
If you need a second, I'll
Is there a
second.
second? Bless.
Bless you.
Bless you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Bless you.
Is there a second?
I'll second your motion.
Thank you. Go ahead, Bill.
We already
Oh, there. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Roll call for item 11, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number 12. Trustee Bill Brady and his Microsoft 365.
Thank you. We want to consider the adopting resolution 2025-R-040, approving the purchase and Microsoft Office 365 licensing from Go Full Cloud.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Someone going to second his cloud?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Brady.
In March of 2022, the Village of Tinley Park moved to Microsoft cloud-based Office 365 platform. Microsoft Office 365 offers several enhancements and functionality which are not available under the village's previous license agreement and the on-premise solution. The purchase with Go Full Cloud will provide annual licensing for the Office 365 suite for the cost of $107,250. This item was discussed at the Committee of the Whole held prior to this meeting. This resolution is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Mr. Brady. Are there any questions for his cloud? No? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 12, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Now we're going to move to software bill, Brady. Item 13, trustee Brennan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I motion to consider adopting Resolution 2025-R-034, approving an agreement between the Village of Tinley Park and Axon Enterprise, Inc. for subscription to Fusus Real-Time Crime Center software.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
Thank you, Connie. Go ahead, Mr.
Thank you, trustee Sullivan. The village's implementation of the Fusus Real-Time Crime Center software suite is enhancing the public safety functionality of the police department, providing new tools and system integrations. This agreement with Axon Inc. will upgrade the village's subscription tier from basic to professional, adding additional functionality and the ability to integrate a larger number of video systems. The proposed subscription upgrade for the remaining 24 months of our contract costs $199,995.84. And this agreement was discussed at the Committee of the Whole held prior to this meeting, and this resolution is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan. Are there any questions from the board?
I did, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
And I think Anthony left, didn't he? Chief, I would have thought this would be one for Anthony, but maybe you can field it. The upgraded capabilities that we're getting with moving the tier and software, can you just speak a little bit to it? Because I think this is, from what I've read about it, I think this is really important, and I think.
Well, it's very important because it's gonna give us access to a larger number of video streams, and it's gonna allow, for instance, our high schools and some of our larger businesses to participate, because as we stand right now, they want to work with us in this system, but we just don't have the capacity to accept what they have. So we're expanding this to allow a larger integration, and to give our businesses, our entertainment venues, and some of our critical infrastructure and partners the ability to donate the video streams. It's just increasing our capacity, for lack of a better term.
Okay, I appreciate that. I see Anthony walk in. I really don't want to try to oversell this or anything, but it sounds to me like that is a pretty important step up in terms of your department being able to provide, real-time access and being on top of things.
Trustee, we're very excited about this program. We're having a lot of positive feedback, and the partners and the community partners that we've been able to discuss and work with on this are also very excited about it. So we think this is a very, very important program. Really want to thank everyone who's participated in it. Thanks.
All right, thanks, I appreciate that. I guess we don't need you there, Anthony. Chief spoke to it really well, so.
I'll just add one thing to this, and maybe another question, I guess. Are we upgrading to a larger system because we have more people already participating, or is it because specifically the schools have too large of a feed?
Well, if I understand your question, but what we have is, we're gonna have more people participating, first of all. The thing that's important is we attack this problem in community sectors, for instance, entertainment venues, education venues, our large commercial venues, and as we get these members of these different communities involved, they expand what they want to donate to us in terms of video. So that's kind of the way we're going. So what we already have is a number of, for instance, hotels, some of our larger gas stations. They're participating in this, and they're already members, but they have more to offer than we have to give them. So now we're going to be able to add to that and increase the network, so to speak, and grow the system.
It's just because we're just adding capacity because we already have so many people participating. That was my question, so. Very good.
It's important to note that this was always part of the plan. We started with the basic tier to make sure that we get the connectivity, make sure that we like the program, and then expand it at this point in time. So it was a good plan laid out by Anthony and the chief to get us to this point, and now we're seeing the benefits and coming up against that basic tier, and so it's a great time for us to go to the professional tier.
I think that's actually another great point there. Not only is it, providing, better tools and capabilities for the police department itself, but it was a really prudent way to approach it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 13, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item 14, trustee Michael Mueller.
I move we consider adopting Resolution 2025-R-028, approving a contract between the Village of Tinley Park and Al Warren Oil Company for bulk fuel purchase.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you, Colleen. The village is about to end their one-year agreement with Al Warren Oil Company to participate in a fixed-cost bulk fuel program for both gasoline and diesel fuel. Due to the method of the future market versus board meeting scheduling, it's recommended that the village board grant the village manager the authority to finalize the contract immediately with Al Warren Oil Company. This item was discussed at the committee of the whole held just prior to this meeting and is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions from the board?
I don't really have a question. I just want to make a comment on this here. There's, this along with the one we just spoke about, it's another example of the staff. This one goes way back, 10 years, it looks like. Just another example of taking every opportunity to look for ways to be efficient and cost conscious. I think it's worth noting. I think it's a really good thing, bringing this to us.
Thank you, Ken. Next, we have item number 15.
We should vote on 14.
I'm sorry. Okay, call the roll.
Roll call for item 14, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we have item 15, trustee Mueller.
I move we consider adopting Resolution 2025-R-029, approving a contract between the Village of Tinley Park and M&J Underground for the 2025 water main replacement bid package number 1 construction.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mike.
Please consider approving a contract with M&J Underground in the amount of $3,518,040.95. This item was discussed at the committee of the whole, held just prior to this meeting, and is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Michael. Are there any questions from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 15, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 16, trustee Mueller.
Move we consider adopting Resolution 2025-R-030, approving a contract between the Village of Tinley Park and M&J Underground for the 2025 water main replacement bid package number 2 construction.
I'll second
Go ahead, Mike.
Please consider approving a contract with M&J Underground in the amount of $2,374,861.20. This item was discussed at the committee of the whole held just prior to this meeting and is eligible for adoption.
Thanks, Mike. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 16, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 17, trustee Mueller.
I move we consider adopting Resolution 2025-R-031, approving an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Tinley Park and the Village of Orland Park for water tower communications use.
I will second that.
Go ahead, Mike.
Please consider signature of IGA with the Village of Orland Park for water communications use. This item was discussed at the committee of the whole, held just prior to this meeting, and is eligible for adoption.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Roll call for item 17, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number 18, trustee Michael Mueller.
Move we consider adopting Resolution 2025-R-032, approving an agreement between the Village of Tinley Park and Robinson Engineering for the Stream Bank Stabilization Hydraulic Analysis.
Is there a second?
It's a good one.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Go ahead, Mike.
Please consider an agreement with Robinson Engineering in a not-to-exceed amount of $101,000. This item was discussed at the committee of the whole held just prior to this meeting and is also eligible for adoption.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 18, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Zoll?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item 19, trustee Michael Mueller.
Move we consider adopting resolution 2025-R-033, approving an agreement between the Village of Tinley Park and Manhard Consulting for the Brookside Creek final engineering.
I'll second it.
Go ahead, Mike.
Please consider approving an agreement with Manhard Consulting in a not-to-exceed amount of $378,000. This item was discussed at the Committee of the Whole, held just prior to this meeting, and is eligible for adoption.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 19, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Zoll?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number 20, receive comments from the staff. Are there any comments from the staff from the left table? Or on the right? Next is item 21, receive comments from the board. Would anyone from the board like to make any comments?
I would, Mr. Mayor.
Trustee Brady, go ahead.
Yes, sir. First of all, I would like to thank all of the union trade members that work so hard to get teens back on schedule and get it back on Oak Park Avenue. We were at the grand opening, the ribbon cutting ceremony yesterday, which went off without a hitch. And just want to thank those men and women that work so hard to get it open and get it open on time. And they've done a beautiful, beautiful job. Can't wait to see the rest of it when it's finished.
Thank you. Anything else, Bill?
No, that'll do it.
Trustee Shaw?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Couple of things. I wanted to throw it over to Pat. I asked Pat earlier in the week to look into something that came up. I think at the press conference, one of the residents asked a question regarding independent air quality monitoring around the mental health center property. And so, Pat, if you want to kind of discuss that.
Yeah, sure. I reached out to Burke Engineering for some suggestions to find companies that handle this type of monitoring. They referred me to one that I spoke to yesterday, and they sent me some information as related to how they would set up the equipment and what equipment would be needed. So it's very, looks pretty easy to do. It's a little expensive, but this equipment would be monitoring the perimeter of the site, and we do it for about 5 to 6 months, from spring until the end of summer or into September. So that would give us real-time monitoring of the site and any contaminants that might be going there. It also measures how much dust is coming up from the site also.
Great. I appreciate you looking into that. And I actually just asked Pat to see if you could get a ballpark. He was actually able to get a quote, so that's something we'll look into. Did any of the other trustees have a question or comment on that?
I got a comment on it. Is this redundant? I thought this was being monitored by the Park District on that property.
Yeah, this one would be actually on the perimeter of it, or in certain sites off-site to see where the wind is blowing and blowing this potential contaminants off-site.
So this is necessary then, that it has not been being monitored this whole time?
My understanding is that the Park District is doing air quality monitoring, but to my knowledge, the reports are not being made public. And so.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know that we have access to that, and I do know that at the press conference, the public asked about it, and I've seen a lot of inquiries on it. I've actually received phone calls and texts from residents asking me about it, and that's why I called Pat and asked him to look into it. So I do think it's duplicative, and frankly, as a taxpayer, I hate to see two entities pay for the same thing twice. But I honestly, I don't know that we have much choice on that, because even if the air quality is being monitored on the site, we don't, we don't have access to that information, and we kind of have a duty to the residents of the town to give them some level of assurance.
Right.
And that's why I wanted to know, if we're talking about something that was gonna be $500,000, I don't know about that. So Pat's looking at the actual numbers. I don't think they're gonna be quite that high, and we'll see if it's something that is within, Pat's discretion in terms of purchasing authority, or if it's something that needs to go to the board.
Well, thank you for bringing it up, and Pat, thank you for looking into it and taking care of it for the safety of our community.
I'd just be curious to see the breakdown of the contaminants of what they are. You mentioned, obviously there's potential of some dangerous contaminants out there. But, something like dust, of course, that's gonna happen with any kind of construction, so I don't think that's a major concern. But, and then also, if we do move forward with this, is it going to be some sort of a web, you said web-based, so can the residents log in to see something? Is it something that we would provide them to be just transparent with what the findings are, whether good or bad or anything?
Well, so I don't know the answer to that. It's actually the same question I asked Pat earlier, and he's gonna look into it.
Yeah, I'll look into it. I do know that it has a solar configuration, so, we won't have to hook it up to power and stuff like that, so. But I will check in to see if there is a web-based app that you might be able to go in there, or at least give us a feed so we can put it onto our website.
Like the
For people to
transparency
see.
portal or
Right.
something, so
Yeah.
nobody has to request that information, it's just readily available.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to add administrative red tape and have somebody here have to
Right.
have more work to do, right? And we'll see, quite frankly, there's absolutely, if it's possible, and it doesn't cost us extra money, I think that would be the way to go, because then we don't have to do anything. It's just out there, and the results don't have to be filtered through us, right? It's just there. I just want to add one last thing on this, in case it's not patently clear or anyone disagrees. If we did this, my sincere hope would be that the results come back perfect, right? No contaminants, right? It's kind of sick to be hoping that for negative results. Just, I'm hoping that we can provide some level of assurance and comfort to the community that in fact, the air is okay, that, worst case scenario is not happening, so that would be my hope.
Very good.
If I could, Mr. Mayor, I have one other item here.
Can I just add a comment to that before you go on?
It's your meeting.
Well, no, it was your comment. I just wanted, you asked for other board comments, so I just wanted to add to that, and then you can finish yours. The problems I have with all this is obviously everyone knows you cannot trust Senator Hastings or Bob Rita. I mean, that's crystal clear. I'd also, and the whole problem with this air monitoring, seems like the Parks District had a very good air monitoring company called Sean Brown Enterprises. They didn't say why, they just fired them. And then when you get the report from October 1st and October 2nd, those reports show on how they weren't handling, they didn't have any training in lead, and it mentioned all the things that they were not doing, where they were bringing it to their attention to change. They weren't disposing of garbage properly. There was a lot of issues that Deshaun Brown called out. I feel bad that they got launched because they were doing their job, potentially, it appears like. So they wanted someone maybe that doesn't, report anything. I don't know, but if you look at the reports, it clearly shows they were having major problems there. And then the next thing you know, they get fired on October 22nd. And then OSHA, that was reported on by Pat, was, I think it was October 24th, they paid a visit to them, and then they fined them, they got them for 6 serious, not just a violation, a slap on the wrist, 6 serious violations, they were all labeled, for roughly $37,000. And with those violations, the biggest problem they called was potentially exposing the employees to lead poisoning. And Sean Brown clearly called it out in the reports on October 1st and October 2nd. of that they're not doing any lead training properly. And if they would have listened to Sean Brown, maybe now potentially these employees wouldn't have the potential of being exposed to lead. And therefore, but when OSHA would have came on site in October, everything would have been clean and they wouldn't have got fined or found guilty by OSHA. They keep blaming, Hastings and then want to blame the village. It's obviously not the village. The OSHA doesn't work for us too. Who else are they gonna say that the village runs? And they could have saved themselves a lot of grief and they would have came through and everything would have been great, but apparently it wasn't. When they were warned, and they won't give you reports other than, October 1st and October 2nd. But what were they reporting prior to that, that they won't give that? It took 2.5 months just to get a report for 2 days, for which was 6 pieces of paper. It took 2.5 months. So obviously, or apparently, they are hiding a lot of information that Sean Brown was exposing. I would ask you, Pat, it seemed like they were doing a great job, that they were calling out all the things they were potentially doing wrong. I would reach out to Sean Brown Enterprises too, because I feel sorry for them that the way it looks from the report and then what OSHA fined him for, it looks like Sean Brown was doing a great job, and if they would have just listened to the professional that they hired instead of Mike Maloney, maybe this problem wouldn't have happened. He's the project manager. He's the one that's responsible for everything that goes on there, even though he's not. I mean, you can't miss that he's a project manager. You see 110 signs wrapped around the fence. So if they would have just listened to Sean Brown, maybe they'd be in a better situation and wouldn't have potential future lawsuits. So if you could contact them too as well and see if they'd be interested and just get a quote. They obviously know what they're doing, it appears. Sorry, go ahead, Ken.
I have one more comment on that one.
Yep.
I know we did the Tetra Tech Phase 2 environmental site assessment on that property back in 2014. It'd be good to give these companies some of the stuff that was in those buildings, just to make sure that we're testing for the right things. I don't think they test for everything, so it'd be nice to know if we're testing for the same contaminants that we found in those buildings as they're demolishing them.
Can I just add something? So Tetra Tech did a follow-up on Phase 2 in 2022, and I have read that entire report, 647 pages, I believe it is. Every wall in every building has peeling lead paint on it, every single one. So for them to say that they properly remediated as they're taking this down, and for that company to say that it's not being done properly, I'm going to believe them. The asbestos is bad enough, but the lead paint is actually considerably more difficult to deal with, just because the smaller fibers and goes airborne. So the fact, Ken, that you brought up and asked Pat to look into this, I truly appreciate, because I think that's the bigger issue here, is the contamination and the airborne ability of lead paint. It's actually dust at that point. If anybody ever wants to go on to YouTube and take a look at some of those old videos of the urban explorers going through the buildings, and they'll have night vision glasses on, or they'll just have a light coming off of their hat, you can see all of the lead paint in the air, all of it. And to contain that is extremely difficult. So I think it's a great idea if we're able to do the air monitoring. I think it would be very beneficial to all of our residents, and maybe give us all a bit of peace of mind at this point. So thanks for asking that, and thanks for following through that.
Trustee Shaw?
So I appreciate that, and just to add to a point that the mayor made about the OSHA fines, one of the things that I'm hearing and seeing out there is people trying to minimize that, saying every big job gets OSHA fines. That may be true.
It's not true.
Okay, well, I just want to mention something that I saw about a gentleman named David Michaels, who's a former assistant labor secretary for OSHA, and his comment was that when OSHA issues fines, it often indicates systemic problems in a workplace safety that go beyond the specific violations cited. So even OSHA says that you can't just look at the fines that we're giving, because most often what OSHA does is they'll issue fines for the absolute most serious ones, but there's a lot of, because they don't want to nickel and dime, right? There's a lot more going on than just the fines, just what's on the face of it.
Thank you.
I had one other item here, and I apologize for going along here. Probably should have started the clock there. But
Your time's up.
I do want to say that this kind of goes under the heading of just correcting some misinformation that's out there and just some plain falsehoods. And it really bothers me when it is especially maligning, I mean, not just the board here, but the professional staff, because this is political up here, I guess, but it's not political for the staff, and it really rubs me the wrong way when I hear some of these things. There's a candidate, and I'm not gonna name names here, but in his profile, a candidate for village board, it's someone that I would actually politely refer to as the least objectionable candidate out there for trustee. But he said a few things here that just rubbed me the wrong way. One of them, and this reminds me of another former trustee who was known for inflating credentials, claiming experience in things that she didn't necessarily have experience in, claiming expertise in financial accounting, budgeting, auditing. And this new candidate's claims talking about coming in here and conducting a full financial audit. And I just find that patently ridiculous. Our last meeting, the committee of the whole and the board meeting, we had our external auditor come in and give us a kind of a rundown on the audit, an audit which is conducted how often?
Annually.
Annually, right? So for someone to, come in and claim that I'm gonna come to the rescue and we're gonna conduct a full financial audit, I'm sorry. There's an audit done every year. And not only is there a full financial audit done, but there are special audits that are done periodically. We just had some recently that we reviewed on specific topics. Something else saying, we're gonna come in here and attack the inefficiencies. I just want to talk about a few things that are already being done. I talked about the annual audits, special audits and reviews. Hannah and I have been discussing over and over. We talked about it at the last meeting with the new ERP system. The expanded capabilities that we now have. Trustee Mueller at the beginning of the night had mentioned about the new vendor reports that we have, which are just so much better. And we have capabilities that we haven't had in the past. And all of these things, my aim through chairing the finance committee is to move towards perfecting some of these reports and just putting them out there. Because as a village, the staff is doing a ton of good work. When we look at budget to actual review, there's a lot of work being done. And when it comes to, somebody coming in here and claiming they're gonna eliminate waste and they're gonna be doing these reviews, just tonight, there's a couple of things on our agenda. We talked about the police software, and, that's a very prudent approach, to go in and say we're gonna start with the basic, and then we're gonna move up once we do proof of concept and say that it's gonna work. Very similar thing with the Office 365, where we're eliminating Citrix and going to a better environment. These are all efficiencies that the staff is working on, right? We can't take credit for all of this here. It's happening. And to think that someone's gonna come in here at the board level and all of a sudden, make magic happen, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Our role is governance, and our role here is to support the professional staff, police department, fire department, public works. That's not, there's no savior gonna walk in here and suddenly, explain to the staff how to do their job. That's not gonna happen. Looking at the fuel program, happens every year. It's fantastic. It's very prudent, even the stream bank stabilization. There are a few things John and I were just talking about tonight, which I'm not gonna go into on at length here, about just the way they're approaching that there is really fiscally responsible, looking ahead at the future. There's so many good things. We're not just sitting up here approving millions of dollars in payment. It's going out to willy-nilly to everybody. So I'm just really frustrated by the kind of positioning, saying that somebody from the outside is going to walk in here and suddenly be able to tell everyone what to do here. It's just, rubs me the wrong way.
Is he a CPA?
No.
Okay.
No. Like I said, it reminds me of somebody else who like to talk about their decades in business and, finance and accounting. Listen, I've got 2.5 decades myself, but I will tell you from experience, as a professional auditor for 20 years, accounting in a municipal government, fund accounting, it's just different. Anyone who thinks they know what they're talking about doesn't, right? So having some respect for the people who are in the job, doing the job. I've asked Hannah to sit down with me and walk me through some of the fund accounting stuff. It's needed. I know what I'm doing when it comes to finance and accounting, but I'm not gonna be so arrogant as to walk in and think that I'm gonna solve everyone's problems and finally tell them what to do. It's not gonna happen.
Just one point you forgot to mention, Ken, is he's the 11 million yearly giveaway he's gonna give to everyone of funds.
No,
So-
we've talked about that a little bit, just the whole thought of rolling in here and, first of all, if that's how these folks run their personal lives, I feel sorry for their families, because coming in and saying, this village has too much in reserve. Our reserves are there for a reason. Unlike the state government and the federal government, this town government is fiscally responsible and maintains a reserve so that when times are good, you save. When times are bad, you dip into those reserves. And that's how I would hope people run their own families.
But they
right?
don't.
Well,
You've seen their financial
yeah,
room, but
that's another thing that frustrates me. Oh, you got too much in savings. Let's hand that out to everybody, right? What they're doing there by making that claim is they're buying votes with people's own money. So that's not our money. It's not their money. It's the public's money. But it's there, and we're all responsible for it, and we need to be good stewards and good wards of the public's money. To say that you're just gonna roll in here and say, oh, look at this big wad of cash, you guys want some? Vote for me. It's ridiculous.
anyone else, any other trustees?
Good.
Clerk?
I do, I'll be very brief. This is concerning the vehicle stickers. There's, again, some misconceptions. We did away with the stickers a couple years ago, mainly because it wasn't equal across the board. Not everyone was participating, and we wanted to equal that playing field. We continue to hand out the stickers, although they're not necessary. The city of Chicago and a number of suburbs do charge a wheel tax, so if you do not have a vehicle sticker on your car, you can get ticketed. We're trying to save you from the hassle of going to court and proving that this municipality does not require one. You won't have to pay it, but it's just to save you the time and hassle of having to go to court. That is why we still provide them, free of charge. One other thing, Trustee Shaw mentioned a former trustee, and I'm going to mention the same former trustee. I think everyone will know what I'm talking about. She recently put a post on our village page that stated that the Village of Tinley Park gave up $7 million in vehicle sticker fees, which is patently ridiculous because it would take 280,000 residents to equal $7 million at $25 per resident purchasing a vehicle sticker. I think we all know there's not 280,000 people driving vehicles in Tinley Park when we only have a population of 55,000, and there's maybe half of that number of vehicles.
That's fuzzy.
Well, that and Fuzzy get along really well. So just a clarification on that. So don't believe everything you read from some folks on Facebook. It's either, whatever it is, it's just ridiculous. We did not give up $7 million. But thank you, that's it.
Fuzzy math, M-A-T-H.
That's all I have.
Anyone else? Billy, you want to add?
Nothing tonight.
Okay, thank you. I just want to add, I received this wonderful Happy St. Patrick's Day card from Grandma Flowers, so thank you. If you're watching, I appreciate the card that you made for me.
She's so sweet.
Signed Grandma Teresa
She
Flowers.
is so cute.
Put it there so the camera can pick it up. She's watching. I want to talk about the parade first. Thank you to all the staff that worked so hard. We had, again, another great parade. It was a big parade, and all the security, the staff worked to set this up through marketing, the public works, to our fire, to our police, our unified command. Everyone did a great job in keeping us safe, so thank you for another great parade. Next, I want to talk about T-hands, the ribbon cutting. If I forget someone's name, I apologize. I'm just naming a couple names, just some of the ones that are key to me that I know have been heavily involved. Mike Coleman has just been absolutely phenomenal. Steve Lorendo and all his staff, all the work that they've done to get all the testing done and approving all the licenses for them. So thank you for all the work they did. Tria for helping with all the architect. Lakota, obviously, Christopher Burke, Robinson Engineering have been involved. And then last but not least, I know John Urbanski and Donna, you guys have spent every second you have in between your other jobs working on this. John, you were down there just about every single day for weeks, working from Harmony Square inside T-Hands, trying to get both jobs done, and Donna, just everything that your staff did to just keep on top of everything with it and making sure the public knew what was going on. And then also want to thank Mr. Newman, the great photos that he was providing for the residents to see that marketing was posting of all the drone footage. So if you're watching, thank you, Bill. If not, John, please tell him thank you for all his great photos that he provided marketing. And it was a great ribbon cutting, and there were so many people out there. It was great. I can't wait to see the finished product. Next, I want to talk about, kind of echo what Ken's saying about the falsehoods that are put out there. They're going to lower your taxes and do all these great things. Well, I don't know how they could do it better than our staff and our board have been doing. The last 2 years in a row, we've done, again, a 0% tax levy. How are we able to do a 0% tax levy? Something that Hannah brought to our attention is, in the last 3.5 years, I believe it was, we brought in $500 million worth of development to Tinley Park. And that's why, you see on Harlem Avenue, all redeveloped. We developed the LaGrange area. We developed 159th and Oak Park area. We did 171st in Harlem. We put in the Starbucks and then the 7-Eleven. You go down to 191st in LaGrange, in Harlem. We're developing both corners simultaneously at the same time next year with, was it 77 acres, I think, that the Lincoln Way owned for decades, that Pat and myself sat down with the school board and we negotiated to get that land for dirt cheap. And it was simple. We just explained to them, you're making zero, you guys keep raising your taxes, was it 5 to 8% from Lincoln Way, Mike? It's because they don't have any revenue coming in. And you have a parcel of 77 acres that just sits tax-free, right? And so when that land is developed, I think the numbers are showing it's over 20 years, I think is gonna bring in what, Hannah, like $50 million is what's estimated? And then the real estate tax for that is going to be well over $1 million of real estate tax of the 77 acres. And what does that do? That fills the gaps that the Lincoln Ways, and Summit Hill is looking for. They're looking for how do they bring more revenue into their boards. And they do that from the work that our staff and our board have done to develop pieces of property. Even if it's $1 million, their tax average is, let's just say 70%. That's $700,000 extra per year that never existed before we finally talked Lincoln Way into saying, guys, we know you're not building a school, right? The schools, all this expansion of the schools has been proven in many areas has been a mistake. It's not working. Some school districts have had to sell schools, and we need to develop this property. So we got the land, and then we sold it to a developer, and now it's gonna be going on the tax rolls. And so now a developer owns it, so it actually should be right on the tax rolls. Now anyways, they should be getting a portion of whatever that money is. It's vacant now, so it's a very small portion, but it's something compared to nothing what they were getting. So we're really excited about that. And then this Greystone property, anyone that ever used to golf there, it's a 9-hole golf course. It is such a hard property to develop. You have Army Corps issues, you have wetland issues, with the waterways. There's a lot of problems with that land. It's not a good, piece of land. And we were able to find a developer to build a 140,000 square foot sportsplex. So how big is that? If you drive down 355, if you ever look at the Bow Dome, that's only 80. We're building 140 right there, which will be along I-80, which won't be in the in residential area. And then we have, anyone remembers the Olympics from 1988? We got Natalie Yurchenko, who I think she was a gold medalist in 1988, a gymnast. She's talking now because she loves the area of building a 30,000 square foot sports dome right next to it. And so that's gonna bring in the gas taxes, that's gonna bring in the hotels, the restaurants, the businesses. So these parcels of property have been undevelopable for a long time. And everyone kept going back and forth. There was one engineer working on it, and what we did is we put everyone's heads together to work together. So we took the developer's engineer, and then the village has 2 engineers, Christopher Burke and Robinson, and the 3 of them figured it out that no one else has ever been able to figure out, again, along with the huge help from John Urbanski as well, knowing the property and just the history. We went down to Army Corps, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. We sat down, we talked to them, and we figured out a way to develop that land, which they could never do. So we're very proud of that. So the lower taxes is just a bunch of baloney. It's impossible to lower the taxes other than what we've done. $500 million worth of development means all that real estate tax of any land that's sitting vacant, 70% on average, in different parts of town, it's like up to 75%. All that real estate tax money goes to the school districts to fund them. And that's kind of what we've been asking them to do, is say, hey, kind of do the same thing we're doing. And it's unfortunate, especially with some of the stuff that people say, that, their taxes are going through the roof, and, the Tinley Park is raising their taxes. The Village of Tinley Park's portion is 0. Again, 2 years in a row. 3 years ago, we apologized, but we had to raise it a whopping 1%, only just to cover our police pension. It's important to this board that the police pensions are always funded. And so we had to raise it 1%, right? And, Bill Brennan and I have explained that at length before when we raised it to 1% 3 years ago. It was needed, because if we didn't raise it, the police pension wouldn't be funded, and that was something that was important to us to make sure it was funded. So if you take away and that wasn't the police's fault, it was the actuaries that they hired. They overestimated and underperformed. So they were short roughly 1%. And so we wanted to fill that gap. So if you take away the actuaries, it being incorrect, 3 years in a row, we would have been at 0. That's remarkable. No one does that. Every year, your school districts are going up a minimum of 5%, sometimes 7, 8%. And so it bothers me when people try to fearmonger people and say that, their taxes, we raised their taxes. We didn't raise anyone's taxes. And if your tax amount went up any portion in your tax bill from the village, it wasn't at our doing. It's actually, well, it is actually our doing. It's our doing because the village is doing so well with our staff and our board and all our departments. We're raising the level, what the home values are of your homes. And so by raising the home values, the assessor sees what these houses are selling for. What our houses sell in Tinley Park now are absolutely insane. It's because of the hard work of our staff and our board over the years, right? And so we've made this a better town than it was. What do they always tell you as a kid? Make it better than how you found it, right? When you leave it. And that's what all of us as a group have done. Not one person in this room has done something single-handedly. We've done it working together as a team. And whether it's from, it doesn't matter, you know, what department it is, everyone plays a huge role. And that's how we're able to do a zero. But again, the assessor assess it. Our levy does not increase. So if they raise your assessed value $90,000, you're gonna pay more, but not more on top of what your levy was from us. You're still paying that roughly average 13% of the tax levy. We can't control the assessed values, but you should be happy that your houses are going up because it's from everything that we've done. The fire department under a previous fire chief lost our ISO 1 rating, right? And so between our public works, Chief Klotz, and our village, they worked really hard to get that ISO rating back. So what does ISO rating 1 mean? It means it lowers your homeowner's insurance. So all those little steps that we've taken working together is what creates what we have. So if your taxes went up, I'm sorry if it went up $50, $90 from the village, but that means your house value is going way up. And so if you're ready, if you're at retirement age, you're gonna get a great bang for your buck on your house if you're ready to retire and move to a different state or move to a different town. So that's actually a good thing if it's gone up, but not the tax levy. So I wanted to address that because that's really important to what the staff and this board have done. It's just not true. And so again, $500 million, $500 million in development. No town, nobody else in this region can say that they've done that. And to do that, we need great staff because as we're unfortunately slamming stuff to community development through the Plan Commission, poor Mike Coleman, poor John, poor staff, the manager's office, that means a lot of stuff is moving around that they have to keep coordinating, which is a good thing. The permits are going through the roof whenever a lot of towns are stagnant. So just wanted to explain the whole tax thing. Something came out today with a nice picture of myself. So anyhow, it was a nice picture. Anyhow, so that's it for me. Thank you, everyone. And then next we have item number 22. Receive comments from the public. Would anyone from the public care to comment? Yes.
This is actually my first time being at one of these ever.
Can you hold on 1 second?
Yes.
Hey, so she can. All right. So just so you know, I've never seen you at a meeting. Our public comment time is double everyone else. The average across state is 3 minutes. If you've ever spoke somewhere else, ours is 6 minutes, and put the clock on the sides. If unfortunately you asked a question and we stopped, a lot of times we'll stop the clock for you.
Okay.
So have at it.
And yes, this is actually my first time being at any board meeting of anywhere. Just moved to Tinley Park April, May of last year, so just
Congrats.
catching up on all the things, but I do have a number of questions, most of which have to do with the 91st and Harlem, 191st and Harlem developments. First, you know, the last notes that I saw in a meeting were from January 21st, and it was noted that there was still a number of resident concerns, and it was just noted they're up for they're valid for consideration. I haven't seen any updates, so, you know, I would love to hear some updates, maybe in the next meeting, on where we're at with some of those concerns, particularly the fence situation. I know there was the approval to close the drive-through for 3 hours, but that still doesn't fully address the concern of having 24-hour businesses. There was a concern to potential property value decrease, wildlife habitat concerns. Some of the things that I was just listening during this meeting that you brought up that really speak to that development. You know, you made the comment that Ace Hardware is a great local-owned business. And we should not be going to those big businesses and you know, we should really go towards those. Sorry, I'm so nervous. I don't public
No, you're-
speak.
You're good.
Would you like a water?
No, I'm just gonna get through it in my 4 minutes. But that really spoke to a lot of my biggest concerns with the development, with the businesses that I've heard being proposed for that area. McDonald's, a gas and wash, which we already have 4 within a mile of that. Mainly big chains. Why can't we put in more stuff like T-Hands? Things that really make you feel like you're in Tinley. It's already being proposed. We're getting Topgolf. That's getting built. That's great. That's going to get people to the area. Let's get businesses that bring people during the day and show them why people want to live in Tinley. That was another thing. Also, another thing with particularly McDonald's and bringing in more fast food. Like, I just have concerns with bringing in more fast food and more just unhealthy foods to the area. The food's just so unhealthy, and there's been a lot of studies showing just how bad it is for your overall health. I know this is nothing new, this is not new information, but the extent to how bad it is for your health just keeps coming out and being more transparent, even within the government. And so I would just really appreciate, who's ever in charge of picking the businesses to really think through what is being planned and how much of that space is being used. Also, yep, I said that, sorry, this is all my bullet points that I was doing. And then also, I would be curious, to see what kind of research was done to see the revenue and any evidence to show that it, in fact, won't lower our house value. This is very personal. Our house does back up to that field. We're right on that line where we would be staring at that fence. And full disclosure, that was one of my top 3 reasons for buying the house. So it would suck. I think that's it. Just a lot of concerns. And I don't know if this is even the right meeting or if I need to go to one of the other types of meetings, but figured this was a good start. That's it.
Are you good? I'll
Yes.
kind of address some of your issues. McDonald's, I don't even know why that was in the staff report, that they were going there. That's not a guarantee. There's not a contract. I don't know if it was just put in there, just like that's something they were looking at. So there's no signed contract that they are literally going in there. And so, we don't pick the businesses, they contact them. So if that lot is not officially gone, as far as I'm aware of. So if you have an idea of a business, or you have some type of relationship or connection to someone, Jason Enberg, which he has his card already ready to hand to you, he would be the gentleman that you would contact, and then he'll give it to Carolyn Matera, who was here earlier, for the business spotlights who left. And then we'll go after them and try to see if they, we'll send them, the drawings, and we'll see if they're willing to look at going there and talk to developers. So we don't, unless someone brings something to us like that, the developer, it's their land, it's their money, we could recommend businesses to them, but we can't tell them who to put there. And so that's why the biggest concern was for the McDonald's was they didn't want a 24-hour drive-through. 5 to 2 is 100 times better than if we just left it open 24. So since there is no contract, we want to make sure that anyone that comes into it, so they know, this isn't just a free-for-all 24/7. So the business will be closed, and most likely, I don't own one of those fast food businesses, for the record, but I know I've talked to some of them, And I know that closing for 2 to 5 is not really beneficial to them, so they'll probably curtail their hours more. I'm guessing more like 12, because to just close, put everything away, and then fire back up in another hour after they're done cleaning, doesn't work well for them. I've already had a conversation with one of them, and I asked them about that, and they said that 2 to 5, they would probably request for more hour, they would probably be open less, because that 3-hour window being closed really hurts their operations, I guess. I don't make the fries or throw them on the grill, so, but that's just what he said. The other thing is across the street with the Sports Dome. Myself and Trustee Shaw, we have been meeting with Oberweis, and we're also talking to Giordano's to go possibly right in front of the Sports Dome. Giordano's is very high-end, and so is Oberweis, even though unfortunately, every time I go there, I get a tummy ache. It's well worth it. I love their ice cream, and I'll take the stomach ache every single time. So I'm fine with accepting that, and I hope you like ice cream.
I do, it's also very unhealthy for you.
What? I'm sorry?
I said I do, but it's also very unhealthy, so I try not to.
Ice cream kind of gets from over west, kind of gets the free exempted. Wildlife, so, great question. The site is 77 acres. Does John or Pat or Hannah remember, we're developing a very small piece of it, and the rest will stay vacant. Do any of you guys remember?
I read 1/3.
Was it 22 acres we're developing, or 22 we're not developing?
It's about 22.
So we're only developing 22.
Yeah, so there was a wildlife study done, and IDNR was engaged in this, so prior to removing the trees, there was a study done, and they deemed that there wasn't any protected species in that area for the tree removal.
And then there's been a big group of residents. It's been basically to make it easier for one contact. Her name's Jen Vargas. She used to be on our plan commission. So I don't know, do you know Jen?
I don't, just from reading her name in past meeting minutes.
Okay, well, if we could get your information, we could have Pat call her and make sure that it's okay if Pat shares her cell number to you, and then you guys can talk. She's kind of been leading the group of what a large majority of them are looking for the fencing. So, like the developer said at several meetings, it doesn't matter to him. Whatever they're looking to do, however they want to put the fence, other than, we can't put a 10-foot fence, that's not happening. But whether it's on the berm, not on the berm, PVC compared to wood, we're letting their group basically decide, because they live there, and we want them to have some type of ownership of it, and they're part of it, so they can't come back, later and say, well, that's not what we wanted. So we're letting the residents, the developer is letting the residents really run the show for that. So Jen Vargas is someone that Pat needs to put you in touch with. So don't say it now, wait till the meeting's over, but if you could give your number to Pat, and then he could try and connect you with Jen Vargas. She lives on,
On the same street.
or she
Yeah,
live
she
around the
said she
corner.
backs up
She could live around the
the
corner by the
road.
McDonald's. Are you on the court?
Basically.
Okay. So, she lives around the corner from you.
Okay.
And then the property values, I don't see how it lowers. It's just like every other development. Every time there's a development, it's increasing the values. If you look at the house, probably unfortunately what you had to pay for it, that's because of all the development, not raising taxes. These houses have very high values now, which we're very proud of. So if someone was ready to retire, they're gonna get a good chunk of change. So that was the fence. I think that addressed all your concerns. Is that, or did I miss any?
Yeah, that covered it all.
Okay,
Could I make a comment on there?
fire away.
First of all, you said it was your first meeting, you're doing really well. I know you got nervous for a minute there, but you did really well. I just want to point on, as the mayor said, when it comes to what restaurant might go there, or what business might go there, we don't really have much control. When it comes to like a gas and wash, I I get the concern, you know, there's already X number of them. To be quite frank, the nature of the development and the location and all that, it's likely to be some sort of gas station anyway. And Gas and Wash has been a very good partner to the village and high quality business. The newer one over there by LaGrange, just took the car through there for the first time. I was amazed. Wow, it's a great car wash. But if anything, having so many close to each other, he's eating into his own business. But as I said, a gas station's gonna go there anyway, so he would probably rather steal business from himself rather than have someone else do it. In terms of what the restaurant would be, I agree with, I haven't eaten at McDonald's in like a long time, and that's not to bash McDonald's, we have several of them here in town, I just don't do fast food. If you have ideas, or people you know have ideas, as the mayor said, you can talk to community development or Carolyn. I would even say if a group of you guys get together and contacted a particular company yourself to bring them in, that would go a long way, because if they, everything is about the market, right? So if they get some sense that the community is actually looking for them to come in, that would probably go a long way also. And actually, that would be great for us too, because having some variety in town's fantastic.
And that is something staff does as well, is that they do go out there to look for businesses to bring them in. So we're not just telling you like, well, you go find one. We do that, so.
I'm saying it would go a long way in addition,
Yes.
right? You know,
Yeah,
like
like
if-
sometimes
if
somebody knows
suddenly,
somebody.
50 people who live in the neighborhood say, hey, we want you here.
Right.
That might,
I've even thrown
That might
suggestions
make
out
them
there,
think,
so
"Hey, that's a good
when I
idea."
travel out of state, I find little places, I find out their franchise, and I brought some to attention to Carolyn and said, what can you do to bring this business in? And she goes, there's some convention she was at and they were on the list, so she said, I will make a beeline to that booth and talk to them. So it is something that they're constantly trying to bring, because, I'd like more, healthier options, like, in Avocado Theory, I think they're doing very well. They always seem busy every time I go past there. It's fresh options, and I think more people are leaning towards that instead of, like you said, you haven't had, do fast food. I try not to, but I do prefer the healthier options as well, so it would be great too. So that's something that I think everyone on board is on board with, so.
That's all I had.
Sound good?
Well, great job.
Yes.
My heart is still racing.
All right, thank you.
thank you so much.
Just please don't leave, and then you guys can exchange numbers. Is there anyone else that would like to make public comment? No? Mike? Item number 23, can I have a motion, please, to adjourn to executive session to discuss the following: collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. We are adjourned and will not be returning. So thank you, everyone. Have a great night.